This is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God.
This is a reading from Chapter 15, The Holy Instant, Practicing the Holy Instant. This is Section 4. Section 4, Practicing the Holy Instant. This course is not beyond immediate learning, unless you believe that what God wills takes time. God wills takes time. And this means only that you would rather delay the recognition that His will is so. The holy instant is this instant, and every instant. The one you want it to be, it is. The one you would not have it be is lost to you. You must decide when it is. You must decide when it is. Delay it not, for beyond the past and the future, where you will not find it, it stands in shimmering readiness for your acceptance. Yet you cannot bring it into glad awareness while you do not want it, for it holds the whole release from littleness.
I know that I don't think it's possible to read too much into this statement. I don't think it's possible to overestimate what it's saying. And it means that it's all on my time, not God's time. We're talking about my time, not God's time. Mm-hmm. My time. Right. Because I'm the only one with time. Right. God doesn't have time. Mm-hmm. God's thing is that He responds
when you decide.
Immediately.
Yeah, and there's a major decision in there. You must decide when it is. So it's telling you not to delay it. I mean, you have to decide that you want the holy instant.
And what is it that we're looking for? We're looking for a holy instant. What's the holy instant? It's a proof. And what's the problem with proofs? Mm-hmm. What's the problem with the proof?
What's the problem with the proof?
It convinces you.
Yeah, it convinces you.
That's what proof means.
Yes.
If I receive a proof, and that's what this is guaranteed, is guaranteeing a proof. If I receive a proof and then am still not willing, well, now I've chosen a nefarious path.
That's true.
I would rather be in the gray. I don't want to be in the white or the dark. I just want to be in the gray so that I can always have a little hedge room. Right. That's where this little willingness, the willingness and the holy instant comes in. And it's saying past, future. Do you realize that a holy instant could take place in the past? I mean, my past. Mm-hmm. Why? Because God doesn't have a past. Right. My holy instant could take place in the future.
And in the holy instant, the past heals. I mean, the past is healed in the present.
Right, right. Yeah, so and in the holy instant, in the present we're talking about, it's non-temporal.
Yes, it is.
Since it's non-temporal, okay, it's like
separating time out.
You know how we used to have this thing, like what would you do if you had Aladdin's lamp and you had 3 wishes? Mm-hmm. It's like that. Mm-hmm. Well, what if you had Aladdin's lamp and you had 3 wishes, but I don't want that kind of commitment, so keep the lamp, and you just don't use it. Right. You don't make your wishes. Right. Because you're afraid of getting what you want, and you're afraid of what you want.
Well, and the thing of it is that the Course reminds us constantly that we don't know what we want. And in the whole rules for decision later on in the book, there's this whole section on where it basically says what you want is to be happy. And you just don't know that you want to be happy because you think your happiness is what you decide, my ego decides, I want. In other words, I want a bigger house, or I want a better boyfriend, or I want whatever it is. And And all of those wants interfere with the ability to find true happiness.
Because my entire reality is flawed. All this reality is flawed.
Right.
Okay. So once you got flaws, you got problems. Once you got problems, God, the Holy Spirit, reinterprets problems. So if I'm honest and I'm doing a practice and I'm doing the Course in Miracles and I decide for some, God knows what reason, that I've lit on the idea of a jaguar and I'm restless for the jaguar, if I follow the thought, if I follow the process, it will lead to the holy instant. It will lead to enlightenment. It will lead to the proof. It takes honesty, and this is the part that the Course emphasizes. The ego's technique is not completing anything. Everything is around the corner. Everything is a partial truth. Everything's a partial, what do they call it, a limited hangout. Mm-hmm. So that it doesn't ever go the full route. Mm-hmm. Yes, ice cream will enlighten me. A red jaguar will bring me happiness. Follow that. It will reveal the truth if you follow it.
It'll reveal the truth, and the truth...
With a capital T.
Yeah, with the truth may say, that jaguar will never make me as happy as I thought it was.
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The jaguar will lead to the truth. The cup of coffee, the ice cream, no matter how stupid, because everything we do is going to be stupid because we're already deluded. Let's not pretend.
I'm not sure I follow that. It will lead to the truth. So follow it out. Give me an example.
Okay, let's say, to make it easier for me, because I've used this example with myself earlier, not a red jaguar. I can't even get behind a red jaguar. But a cup of coffee. Let's say a really, really good cup of coffee is going to make me happy. I've got to have a cup of coffee. I go to the coffee place, and I observe that, the chair is a little bit hard, and my shirt isn't sitting on me right, and I'm not crazy about the artwork. Mm-hmm. But so I get the coffee, and I'm sitting here, and I'm drinking the coffee, and I'm going, well, is this the greatest thing? And I'm going, well, it's not what I thought it was going to be. I mean, it's put it this way, it's what I thought it was going to be, but it doesn't bring much improvement. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, well, finish the cup of coffee. If I'm honest about it, I will get finished with a cup of coffee. And before I get finished, and right now, as I'm just telling you, right now, I'm about to cry. Okay. Why? Because before I get through with that cup of coffee, I will know the truth that was my idea, that a cup of coffee is pretty good, and that's a gift of God to have a cup of coffee, but it does not make me happy.
Right.
That's what I will get the truth.
Okay.
Cup of coffee is pretty good.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted you to tell out the full story because I think it's important for people to understand because sometimes it's not complete for me.
Right.
Okay.
So any whim that we have, you follow it, it will lead to the truth, no matter what. But you have to be honest, and you have to complete.
Right.
And not pull up short and go, well, that was the wrong one. I was really a blue jag.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So in this case, you have to want the holy instant. Otherwise, it just stays out there waiting for you to want it. It's just waiting.
Well, and again, the last thing on it said that all instants are holy instants.
Yes.
In other words,
so every instant is a possibility to experience
we're
the holy
completely
instant.
right now immersed in an eternal shower of the holy instant right now as a shower. And the only problem is my ability to say, I got to get
If the whole screen turns white, you'll know we made it.
Okay, paragraph 2.
Okay.
Your practice must therefore rest upon your willingness to let all littleness go. The instant in which magnitude dawns upon you is but as far away as your desire for it. As long as you desire it not and cherish littleness instead, by so much it is far from you. By so much as you want it, will you bring it nearer. Think not that you can find salvation in your own way and have it. Give over every plan you have made for your salvation in exchange for God's. His will content you, and nothing else can bring you peace. For peace is of God and no one beside him. So, the critical piece is practice. Do you realize, and I want to say this before I forget, practicing the holy instant, I just want to give endless praise, praise, probably the wrong word, gratitude for the Course in Miracles. It is a comprehensive practice. It's written in English. I don't know that there is a comprehensive practice on face of the earth written in English.
Right, for the Western
mind.
Yeah.
With our unique neurosis.
Except the Course. I agree. I mean, people
in that way, I can look at it and just throw it in there with the Urantia book and the Best of Wayne Dyer if I want to. But the thing is, it is unique in that it's comprehensive.
Right.
And complete. Right now, this right here is...
It's a step-by-step directions.
Practicing the holy instant. What's a practice? Holy cow. I mean, if you've ever done Buddhism, it's nothing but practices.
Right.
This is giving you very coherent practices with the parameters of the practice, as well as, whether you've achieved a result or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's look at it. It said, your practice must therefore rest upon your willingness to let all littleness go. Otherwise, you can't experience the holy instant. And the instant in which magnitude dawns upon you is but as far away as your desire for it. Again, it's desire, wanting it. And so long as I cherish my littleness, all my little ideas, more than I want the holy instant, that's how far away it will remain from me. It said, give over every plan you've made for your salvation in exchange for God's. So every kind of idea and plan that I have, if I'm not handing those plans over, also it's a delay to my holy instant.
But what does that look like? And it goes back to the cup of coffee and the Jaguar, is I am stuck with my delusion here in terms of my words, my ideas, the shape of thoughts in my mind. I'm stuck. You could have, I want nothing but God. In some ways, if I say to myself, I want nothing but God, it's not that different than saying, I want nothing but a red Jaguar. It's it's not different.
I understand.
Because we're caught in a diluted kind of backward symbols, glass darkly problem of understanding even what we mean by the things we say. So when I say anything, if in there I have this sense, and it gives this, the suspension of belief in what I'm saying, knowing, okay, I want a cup of coffee, it's going to make me happy. Really? You got to have a little bit of that in there. I want the red Jag. Really? You think that's going to work? That has to be there.
Right.
And that is tantamount to the little willingness, or it can be.
Yes, it can. As soon as you think that the desire of things of this world are the things that are going to fix and make you feel all happy and great, that's a moment to actually hand that over and say, I'd like to see it another way.
Well, in paragraph 3, because you had talked about that last time, and I want to intro this one because it says, be humble before him and yet great in him.
I'd mentioned is humbleness.
And I knocked it off. You said being humble before the Lord, and I just kind of knocked it out because I have such, there's a repugnance within me about this humbling myself because it's so easily misunderstood. Go ahead and read.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about humbleness versus littleness here. Paragraph 3, be humble before him and yet great in him, and value no plan of the ego before the plan of God. Or you leave empty your place in his plan, which you must fill if you would join with me by your decision to join in any plan but his. I call you to fulfill your holy part in the plan that he has given to the world for its release from littleness. God would have his host abide in perfect freedom, and the host is you. Every allegiance to a plan of salvation apart from him diminishes the value of his will for you in your own mind, and yet it is your mind that is the host to him. So be humble before him and yet great in him. So being humble before God, before the Holy Spirit, before Jesus, is different than making yourself little. To me, I'm just going to say it means that I am willing to relinquish my ego's ideas, to step back from my plans, my ideas, my judgments for a moment, to be humble, to just lay them down. You can say you lay them down, all your stuff at the feet of God or whatever it is. That's to be humble. And yet it's saying don't be little. That's not to be little, because it says yet be great in him. Why be great in him? Because you are one with him. You don't know it. I mean, you're not maybe experiencing it, but you cannot not be like him. So in order to be humble, to me, the humbleness is removing, or at least letting my ego just calm down, just be a little bit quiet, so that the magnitude can rise, the truth of what I really am. While my ego has all of its ideas and its perturbations of what needs to be happening and doing, and judgments and things like that, there's no way that I can be humble before God. So that's my thing with humbleness. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, my only thought on it is that my own experience of this kind of thing is that at the moments when it seems important to, let's say, have the little willingness, usually the situation is I'm on a jag of some kind. A jag meaning my brain process has gotten a hold of it and it won't let go. It's like a dog playing with a rag or a doll, where it's just tearing and tearing, and you're going to have to let go of it if you're going to play the game, is what they used to say. You're going to have to put the ball down if we're going to keep playing.
Right.
And the dog, me, won't put the ball down, won't let go of the rag. So I'm calling that a jag, jags are caused by fear and insecurity and all these other kinds of things. When I'm in that state, like a fear-biting dog or something, there's no calming me. There is no laying anything down and looking for the Lord. It's not existent. The only thing I have is a memory that's an aspiration that I had. That's all I have. I have a memory that I would like to not be gripped with fear. I would like to not be gripped with panic. I would like to be over this jag, but for some reason it's got me. I'm possessed.
Right.
Thoughts possess us.
Yes, absolutely. We ruminate and they go and go and go. And
at the moment when I want the peace of Christ, when I want the Holy Spirit, when I want to abandon, I'm wrapped up in some other thing. So they usually come side by side.
Yeah, I agree. But if you can recognize it, that's the great moment of where you can decide for something else. But if you don't recognize it, you'll stay in your
I'm going to say,
in your jag.
if I'm on a jag, there has to be, because, okay, think about it like this. It's the nature of all of these miracles. To me, if I'm on a jag, it's panic. It's irrational. It makes no sense. At that moment, I make a call out to the Holy Spirit that is also, in a sense, irrational and makes no sense. It's a blind request.
It is a plea. Yes.
It's a plea.
It's a call for help. It's a call for love.
Right. But that is exactly that. It's a cry out. It's a please help me. In other words, there's no rationale. A kid has no rationale, a baby, infant, when they're screaming for their mother. There's no rationale there. They're on a jag. They're gripped with the lack, like that. If I can interpret the fear that I feel, the panic that I feel, the being gripped by the concern, whatever it is, the ruminating, as like a child, screaming for the mother, screaming for. If I can notice symbolically in my mind the intense irrationality of it is actually the intense irrationality for intervention from the loved one. If I can do that.
Yeah.
Now, what does that look like? It looks like I'm getting fried by a lawyer in the lawyer box. The guy is I'm being disassembled, and I'm about to lose everything I've got because I'm being disassembled publicly in this room. And when I go through that process, I say to myself, buddy, you're being stripped and there's nothing you can do about it. I feel overwhelmed. I feel all of my egoic victories in life just failing me. Everything's failing. All my preparations failing. And allow that to be an opposite motion. One of the laws of physics or whatever, equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah.
So it's like, as I feel that panic, I just throw my Hail Mary out to the Holy Spirit and say, please give me another way to look at this. There's no sincerity in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no conviction in it. The only thing I have conviction of is that I'm being disassembled.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you want help.
Right. And then be vigilant for a
An
reinterpretation.
answer. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's called the Holy Instant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a lot of times these requests for a Holy Instant, we're not coherent. We're not.
I agree.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So a lot of times they're not. And yet it says every instant is an opportunity.
But what you had said, and we covered it. I kind of steamrolled it, and I felt bad about that. I steamrolled over the be humble before the Lord comment because I wasn't prepared, because I tend to overreact, because in my own life, in my own family of origin and all that kind of stuff, there's more of a tendency to belittle.
Yeah.
And so I kind of, balk at the idea of, because it seems like such an easy one for the family of origin that I came to. Yes, be humble. In other words, sit down, shut up. You don't have anything to contribute. You don't know anything.
Yeah, but that's not what it's saying, because it said be humble before him and yet great in him, which is not what maybe a parent had instilled in you.
No, well, and also what it says often in other places, though, is you say, be humble before him, and by being humble before him, realize, O Son of God, that it's up to you to save the world. Be humble in him, meaning only by me being an empty vessel, only by being empty of my thing, can I be a channel for the world-saving power of God, which you have to say, well, it's there.
Right.
Give him that.
Mm-hmm.
He made it. I guess he could save it if he wants to. And that all he's requesting is an empty channel.
Yes, that's right.
And that would be my smallness. But there has to be a sense of magnitude. In other words, that small channel.
That's a humbleness, but not a littleness.
Right. No, right, exactly.
Because in order to be open for the Holy Spirit to work through, so that there is a holy instant, there has to be a place where you relinquish your ego. You have to. So that means you're letting go of the arrogance that I am the author of my life.
Yeah, that I got the big idea.
Yeah, that I got the big idea. So that's where you let it go. Anyway.
Okay, paragraph 4. Would you learn how perfect and immaculate is the holy altar on which your Father has placed himself? This you will recognize in the holy instant, in which you willingly and gladly give over every plan but his. For there lies peace, perfectly clear, because you have been willing to meet its conditions. You can claim the holy instant anytime and anywhere you want it. In your practice, try to give over every plan you have accepted for finding magnitude in littleness. It is not there. Use the holy instant only to recognize that you alone cannot know where it is. Use the holy instant only to recognize that you alone cannot know where it is and can only deceive yourself. So he realized the holy instant provides the humbleness. The holy instant, and I've had this experience, the holy instant, the miracle, reveals the emptiness of my ability to handle the plan, to handle the situation. It always happens that way. I don't know, there's not a time when it's like, oh yeah, man, me and God, we were on the same wavelength. It's never that way. It's always different than what I thought it should be or could be.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Yeah, I agree. There's...
in fact, that's almost an earmark of it. You can almost see it as...
the holy instant is... Well, anyway, all I know is that my perception changes. There's something else. There, as you would say, there's a softening. Also, I can feel the peace surrounding me or enveloping me. It's through me. I can feel those moments like that happens. And if somebody asks me something, I feel more clear. Something else is working through me. I feel more clear about what I have to say. At any rate,
I'm going to make a suggestion too. Right now, it just pops in the head. Is be prepared if I'm saying this to myself and anybody who wants to listen, is that be prepared that if you're doing the practice, and you're doing this holy instant, and that you do have a good hope for the world, a good hope for those people around you, a good hope.
Yeah.
And that you get, wow, that's an unexpected result that happened over there. I wasn't really thinking about over there, but I'm seeing it. I'm getting an unexpected result over there. It's not exactly the one I was thinking about, but it's over there. And so just to recognize and be willing to have that magnitude to say, well, in God's way, I might be healing the planet. In God's way, I might be healing my extended family or my, this community in some sense. I think it's a part of the practice to be large enough to let yourself bring global changes.
Yes, and be aware that the I that he's speaking of is not the egoic I at that point, because it's not that I that does anything.
I know, but the only I have is the one I have.
Right. I understand
and so what happens is this. That's why you feel small. That's why I just got through saying that at the end. It is not there. Use the holy instant only to recognize that you alone, I alone, me, cannot know where it is and can only deceive myself.
Right.
In other words, take this golden opportunity to realize that once again, you don't know anything.
Yeah, that's it.
And so when these things happen, like this, take that golden opportunity to say, wow, what the hell? I didn't even know. It's happening in spite of me. What do you know? Isn't that great?
Yeah. Yeah.
God's really something.
And yet you allowed it to happen.
Yeah,
there's an allowing. That's where it happens.
Yeah, the
space.
space.
Has in the allowing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Paragraph 5, a little paragraph. I stand within the holy instant as clear as you would have me, and the extent to which you learn to accept me is the measure of the time in which the holy instant will be yours. I call to you to make the holy instant yours at once. For the release from littleness in the mind of the host of God depends on willingness and not on time.
Okay.
So that's Jesus' invitation. That I is Jesus saying, I stand within the holy instant.
So Jesus is sitting there in the boat or whatever, sleeping away on the stormy seas, let's say, and he's waiting for somebody to just say, calm the waves.
Yeah.
He might say, so he's saying that he's immediately available, and it's already said it in so many ways, but this has got, like you said, a personal marker.
This particular paragraph has a personal marker, and the extent to which you learn to accept me, to accept Jesus, is the measure of the time in which the holy instant will be yours. So as long
as it takes me to accept is the amount of time that it takes it seemingly for Jesus to appear.
Yeah, yeah. Or, the holy instant, you'll recognize it because the holy instant is that moment where oneness is remembered. It dawns on the mind, and so all are included, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, God, whatever great being of light that is your holy man.
Okay, paragraph 6. The reason this course is simple is that truth is simple. Complexity is of the ego, and is nothing more than the ego's attempt to obscure the obvious. You would live forever in the holy instant, beginning now and reaching to eternity, but for a very simple reason. Do not obscure the simplicity of this reason, for if you do, it will be only because you prefer not to recognize it and not to let it go. The simple reason, simply stated, is this. The holy instant is a time in which you receive and give perfect communication.
Yeah, there it is.
This means, however, that it is a time in which your mind is open both to receive and to give. It is the recognition that all minds are in communication. It therefore seeks to change nothing, but merely to accept everything. So if I'm hearing there, the reason, of course, is simple. The complexity is that the holy instant.
Well, it does remind us that complexity is of the ego. So if you're experiencing complexity in your practice, it's your ego. That's what's happening.
Right. So this is it's literally the open mind, which it's difficult. I don't know. What do you think? It's like I said, my own experience is that I get on jags. Mm-hmm. A jag is the mind is completely full of an idea or a thought or a fixation. And to be in the middle of, let's say, some difficult traffic situation.
But you'll notice, even in a jog, usually, I mean, for myself, that's where all of a sudden I exhaust myself. I mean, personally, on those moments, I exhaust myself. And then there's a moment of quietude, just a moment. I swear it's just a moment, which allows, if you're willing in that moment to say, I give, I obviously don't know the answer to whatever this thing is that I'm ruminating or whatever's going on. That moment is that willingness. There's a space there for the miracle, for the holy instant to occur. So a lot of times, because of the way the ego is structured, how we're all structured in this world, is that we want to try and fix and do and be right about the things that we want, that we're up to in our world. And we don't want to hand it over. That seems like that I don't know what I'm doing. That's the ego's response. Well, I know what I'm doing, No, most of us don't really know what we're doing. That's the thing. And it wants us to leave the doing to that extension, which allows all things to be much more synchronistic and much more harmonious. And definitely, peace is the signature. Peace is always the signature that the holy instant has occurred.
Well, one thing I've been doing lately, I've been trying this lately very particularly, is just in moments of nothing, just sitting there. Mm-hmm. I'll try to practice a holy instant. Mm-hmm. There's nothing going on. I'm not trying to achieve anything or go anywhere or anything.
And what does that look like if you practice it?
Well, when I do that, I've mentioned it before, but I find that for me, it works. Mm-hmm. And it's, let's say I'm sitting in a chair, and I go, okay, well, the Course says that the Holy Spirit is available 24/7.
That's right, every month.
So it's up to me to have that open space. Mm-hmm. So in that open space, I'll say, I would like another way to see this room. I'd like another way to see this chair that's across from me. I'm in an environment. I'd like to see I would like to see the face of Christ, not for any reason than a demonstration of anything, but just for a strengthening of my own faith in this process, so that I can see that it's available routinely.
Yeah.
Routinely. And what happens in those moments, and I've been consistently surprised whenever I've managed to do it, and I'm going to say that lately I've been having that experience, I don't know, every day, if not a couple of times a day, where I think to really relax my gaze. And to do that, I could be working, and then suddenly I say, well, I'm working, I'm drawing, I'm doing this thing, and then I could just stop and say, well, wait. I would like another way to see this drawing board, this table, this drawing, this situation I'm in, where I feel pressed into time, not even in a bad way. And when I do that, and I soften and take that second as a communication with the Holy Spirit, when that happens, the environment, I get a glimmer of the same thing that happened, as I said before, in that church in Sarasota, Florida, where things melt a little, things soften a little, and a sense of gratitude comes up. Like, let's say I'm doing a drawing and I go through that, or if I'm just sitting in a chair looking at the wall, I feel gratitude that there is a wall. I feel gratitude that I'm in a house to look at a wall. I feel gratitude for the fact that I even have a moment to even do this kind of thing. And then there's gratitude that there is another perceptual space to be in. And it happens just about every single time.
Yeah, I felt it actually at church this morning because I was practicing that I am the Holy Son of God. And it was actually particularly powerful during the whole Eucharistic Mass. And because I've been having a hard time with the whole idea of the real body and blood is in the little disc. A lot of Catholics have this problem, in the little disc that they're going to give you to eat. And I don't know what happened, but I actually experienced like a complete wave of peace and love as he's holding up the Eucharist. And the understanding is not about that particular thing so much as it's everywhere. It's in the room. Of course, it's in the Eucharist. It's everywhere. At any rate, it was just...
Well, the thing is, the realization of it, from my viewpoint, is wordless.
Yeah, it is.
But it's comprehensive and particular.
Yeah.
But really, it might take a long time to put it into words.
Yeah, I don't know that I can.
But it's a very simple thing. Mm-hmm. And it is that openness that it's saying. Anyway, my point is that I think that it can be literally practiced, which is a powerful concept, which I never was really familiar with. It's not really even just doing the workbook.
Right. I agree. Okay, it's my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Paragraph 7. How can you do this when you would prefer to have private thoughts and keep them? The only way you could do that would be to deny the perfect communication that makes the holy instant what it is. Oh, we kind of glossed over that, the whole thing about the communication. I just want to read that again. This means, however, that, I'm going to read the last sentence from the prior, that it is a time in which your mind is open both to receive and give. It is the recognition that all minds are in communication. It therefore seeks to change nothing, but merely to accept everything. I would say that instant this morning was an acceptance of everything. I don't know, that was a beautiful moment for me. Let's see. So how can you do this when you would prefer to have private thoughts and keep them? The one way you could do that...
The only way.
Oh, the only way. The only way you could do that would be to deny the perfect communication that makes the holy instant what it is. You believe you can harbor thoughts you would not share, and that salvation lies in keeping thoughts to yourself alone. For in private thoughts, known only to yourself, you think you find a way to keep what you would have alone and share what you would share. And then you wonder why it is that you are not in full communication with those around you and with God, who surrounds all of you together.
Well, there is, and I think that there's a point where you could almost say that the ego's way, the attractions of the ego is all in the realm of addiction.
We want to keep a certain amount of our little world, a private world of secrets.
But the addiction is the private world. That is the addiction. That I have an addiction to having a secret. My addiction is to having my own shiny little precious thought that's all mine, my own. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be part of, and as it said in that other place, I don't want to be in a part of full uninhibited communication. Right. I don't really want full uninhibited communication, because another way to say it is I'm afraid of intimacy, or I'm afraid that intimacy will burn through me and make me irrelevant, mm-hmm.
What we don't realize
I'll be overwhelmed.
Is that the only true communication, though, all real communication, is the same communication extension that's God's, which is complete love, complete peace, complete joy. All the other thoughts are made up thoughts that are really a type of separation. All your dark thoughts or whatever else, those are not shared. They're just part of the illusion world.
Right. And where my mind goes is the difficulty of saying, have a peaceful thought.
No.
Okay? Don't think of a monkey.
Yeah, exactly.
I want you to have a loving thought, okay?
No, you can't.
You can't.
No, you can't do that.
That's the thing. God's thoughts are thoughts that you cannot do.
Think. Yeah, no, they're just there.
Yeah. So God's thoughts literally are a shared thought.
Yeah.
So you can't fake loving thoughts. You can't fake peaceful thoughts. I can't have a goal of having peaceful thoughts.
That's very true. Good point. No, that's a very good point. And yet, in that open mind space that we read about earlier, that's where the communication really is.
Which is why it's unfulfilling to the ego, because it wasn't my big idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, paragraph 8. Every thought you would keep hidden shuts communication off because you would have it so. It is impossible to recognize perfect communication while breaking communication holds value to you. Ask yourself honestly, Would I want to have perfect communication? And am I wholly willing to let everything that interferes with it go forever? If the answer is no, then the Holy Spirit's readiness to give it to you is not enough to make it yours, for you are not ready to share it with him, and it cannot come into a mind that has decided to oppose it. For the holy instant is given and received with equal willingness, being the acceptance of the single will that governs all thought. Okay, for the holy instant is given and received with equal willingness. In other words, I'm willing to have the blessing come to me, and I'm willing to have the blessing come through me.
Yes.
Either way.
Yeah.
Either way.
That's how perfect communication is, because it extends.
Right. So
it's saying, I mean, we so long as we want to hold on to our, we want to hide, we keep hidden certain things, the communication's shut off, and you can't recognize it. But the Holy Spirit will wait. It waits for us. And they said, would I want to have perfect communication? Am I wholly willing to let everything that interferes with it go forever? Well, that's a big question. And if the answer is no, then there won't be perfect communication.
Well, I've gone to the chiropractor a couple of times. It's not a real pleasant experience for me. But there's a moment where he says, okay, take your knee and put it over this way, and he pulls my shoulder back the other way, and he goes, now ready? Now I want you to relax.
I know, and you're like...
and he goes, 1, 2, and I'm going to myself, I'm going, okay, I got a moment of truth here. I just paid this guy whatever, $50 or $100, and I'm here to get my back cracked or whatever. I'm willing, I'm wanting this expert to disassemble me somewhat for my benefit. And yet there's a part of me that goes, don't do it. He's trying to kill you. You're going to break in half. He's going the two pieces are going to go on the floor. And it's similar to that. This Holy Spirit thing is similar. Do you want complete communication? You say, well, yeah, of course I want. No, come on. Be honest.
Right. I know.
Be honest.
There's going to be a little resistance.
He's going to mess me over. This isn't going to go well because I need to be in charge. It's an addiction.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right. Was there anything else there? No, you just have to want perfect communication and see whether or not you really mean it.
Yeah, right. Ask yourself honestly. I don't know what else there is to say. Self-honesty is so incredibly important.
Right.
The amazing thing is self-honesty. I think it gets you almost everywhere in terms of so-called spiritual progress.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people won't spend even some quiet moments with themselves. They don't even know what quiet moments are. They frighten them.
I know, but even if you don't want to spend a quiet moment, be honest about not wanting to spend a quiet moment.
How can you if you keep filling it up?
No, that's what you say.
That's what I'm saying.
No, it's like...
in the world with instant gratification in your handheld device, some people have a really, really hard time not having any input.
But the beginning of the end for a busybody or somebody that's addicted to anything is, okay, let's say I want to watch, I want to binge watch, I don't know, Pee-wee's Playhouse or something like that. And I just say to myself, I go, you know what? I want to sit down, I want to camp out with this thing. And despite all of the wonderful things in the world, I want to watch Pee-wee's Playhouse. And I want to watch 12 straight hours of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
That ought to end your addiction.
Well, so what I'm saying is that if I'm just honest with myself, you hear yourself saying it, and you go, even if I say to myself, I just want one episode, okay? Just one episode of Pee-wee's Playhouse. Whether it's a binge watch or just one episode, either way, your self-honesty will reveal your priorities, and it can be very embarrassing.
Right.
Your priorities might be, you know what, I want every day so packed with activities, I can't think straight. That's an enlightened thought.
Well, yeah, I do understand that. Yeah.
And I've seen people that have gone there, and it is the beginning of the end. As soon as they say that to themselves, it's all over for them.
Right. Well, that's true. Okay, paragraph 9. The necessary condition for the holy instant does not require that you have no thoughts that are not pure, but it does require that you have none that you would keep. Innocence is not of your making. It is given you the instant you would have it. Atonement would not be if there were no need for it. You will not be able to accept perfect communication as long as you would hide it from yourself. For what you would hide is hidden from you. In your practice, then, try only to be vigilant against deception and seek not to protect the thoughts you would keep to yourself. Let the Holy Spirit's purity shine them away and bring all your awareness to the readiness for purity He offers you. Thus, will He make you ready to acknowledge that you are host to God and hostage to no one and to nothing.
Any aspect of my life that is challenging, problematic, wounded, perennially flawed, and that are, maybe I explain it to myself like, it's not a big deal. It doesn't really bug me.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. I need to get over it. Any of these kinds of thoughts are a strategy to hide this open communication.
Yes.
And in some ways, they're the most innocuous, the most meaningless, the most innocent, quote unquote, innocent. But they dull me to the need for this communication that I crave, because I can stay in those states of dullness. In fact, I'd say, how many people do you know, Phil, that have these dramatic lives where all this crap is happening and that they need, they're screaming with panic, versus gray? Well, most people's lives are gray.
Yeah, I agree.
And that grayness is a very intentional, well-designed grayness, so that they don't, you hide from this invitation.
Right.
And now
I also thought that the very first sentence was really, really important. Just the necessary condition for the holy instant does not require that you have no thoughts that are not pure. I mean, most people, that's the part that people want to hide. The thing of it is that the Holy Spirit only knows you in your innocence. It only knows your purity. And so long as I hold on to that which is the ideas of my inadequacies, my littleness, all the littleness ideas, even the dark thoughts and everything else, if I'm willing to give those over, then the Holy Spirit shines away. That is a form of confession. It's a form of a place where absolution can take place, where the Holy Spirit now transforms it into, now that you've given me that, I can show you your purity. But so long as you hold on to those dark things, there's no way that you can have that shining purity be reflected in you from the Holy Spirit.
Right, exactly. And the dark things that you're talking about, I want to, for myself, in my own mind, living in my own head, I'm fond of myself. I'm not going to say it's healthy self-esteem or anything. I'm just going to say I'm fond of myself. I've got a general affection for what I am as an object, and sometimes embarrassingly so, that I realize I might be the only one that shares that opinion in some areas. So, in other words, I block this open communication with the Holy Spirit of my, let's say, potential use as a vehicle or as a vessel for the work of God by even the affections I might have for myself, or the sense of a certain issue that I have as a kind of a dent in that affection. So that in a lot of ways, if I really look at this high regard that I'm telling you about with myself, if I really start looking at it hard, what I have is, in my mind, I've got a classic car in my front yard with a good paint job and everything. But the more I look at it, I say, well, it really needs a new paint job. It's got a lot of pings in it. It's actually up on blocks, and the wheel hubs are rusted out, and I really can't even get it started. That's really, if I start looking at it honestly, that that sense of self-admiration or self-satisfaction is a ploy to keep me from really looking at the parts that are blocking me as a vessel for what the Course is saying is joy and peace and happiness and spreading what? God's work. It's not even a matter of me feeling joy or peace or happiness. It's the fact of let's make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And that I'm actually blocking that by worshiping a car, me, my self-image.
Yes.
And not being honest about the various flaws. And I know what they are. It's not like a big mystery. If I spend some time with that vehicle, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't want to get into the particulars, but I've got a crapload of particulars in my head.
No, I mean, and those flaws, what now that we all have them or whatever, our ideas about ourselves and everything else. But those are the very things, are the thoughts that are not pure.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And those are the ones that it's saying it does not require that you have none of those, but that you wouldn't want to keep them, that you're willing to just say, I don't want these. And then innocence is not of your making. Because, again, it's not making is all that the ego does versus creating. So innocence is a creation of what we already are. Innocence and purity is that which God created and that we are like God and like the Holy Spirit. So all it's saying is that, to me, it's important to know that we all have impure thoughts. We all have ideas that are not godly or whatever it is.
The deal is all of our thoughts are impure.
Yeah, most of them.
All of them.
Let's not say all of them. Okay?
No, all of them are impure because we've got it. What I'm saying is, back to symbols and things, you just got to understand it's a structural issue. If I have thoughts about me, if I have thoughts about my possibilities, if I have thoughts about my history or my whatever, it's impure. That none of them are pure because they're based on symbols. The symbols are based on distortions. They're based on incomplete communications.
The time, past, future references.
Yeah, and so the reason, that's why I said, is in my mind, I have the classic car out front. And if I really, really look honestly at myself and I see that it's up on blocks, it's rusted or whatnot, the deal with that is the impure thought is that I've got a classic car. That's the impure thought. Do you understand?
Okay.
The rest of them are just called honesty.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And I could get into particulars, and it's not self-denigration, or as you would call it, self-defecation. It's not that. It's an actual feeling of like, well, I've really got a precious bunch of little junk that's me. Me, little old me, and it's really nice, isn't it? It may be a classic car, it may be antique, it may need a little work, it may need new upholstery, it may have busted springs, it may not start, but it's precious, isn't it? I play that game with myself. And the impure thought is the nefarious and nasty, and the Course would say evil, that's blocking God's will from being exercised through me by maintaining that I've got a classic car. When in fact, it's not working that way. Because as soon as I get past that impure thought, which masks the others, once I get past that, my mind is open. Okay. Why? Because I don't want to live with a rusted out car that's up on blocks. As soon as I see what's going on, I reject it.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The thing that keeps that junk in place is that I sentimentalize it. I idealize it. I put it on an altar.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I could name names. I'm not going to.
That's
for what you would hide is hidden from you. In your practice, then, try only to be vigilant against deception.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Yes. I think we covered it. Imagine that.
Before we hang up, though, the thing is, you gotta be honest that this is a pretty fantastic thing.
I do. I think it's awesome. And the more you and I do this together, the more I feel these moments of I don't know what it is, But I would call it inner smiling. That's what I call it, inner smiling. There's like these moments of just where, I don't know, the world seems a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
well, I guess we're done.
okay, we're done.
Thank you.
May you have an inner smiling today.
Yeah, inner
soon.
smile. Now.
Now.